Hello everyone, welcome to One Up Coding episode 4 or something, 5, I'm not sure. Today we're going to be doing something crazy. We're actually going to be making a game. So how do we make a game? Well, it's through a library, right? This library is called p5.js. Now, it allows us to draw rectangles, shapes, right? And add images. I won't go over images today because I didn't prepare any sample images to use. But figuring that out should be a good challenge for you. So let's just hop right into it. So what is p5.js? It's a library, right? And well, some libraries come with JavaScript, right? P5 is one that doesn't, right? That doesn't come with it naturally when you first install JavaScript or use JavaScript. So how do you actually get it then? Well, there's different ways to do it, but we're gonna do it the playcode.io way. Where it actually has an option where it uses you can just add it using this little manual. I did a couple of pictures. Here's some instructions, right? But I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So let's hop on to playcode.io. Bam. Okay, now we're on. I'm already logged in here. And here it says libs, right, which stands for libraries. What kind of libraries are we gonna add, huh? Well, why don't we add the one we want to use, the P5, right? It's called P5. Now, what is P5? Again, it's used to allow you to draw images to your screen. Using what's called a canvas, right, and all this stuff. But it's actually based off of another tool called processing, which is what I covered last year during last year's summer session. Processing is based off of Java, and P5 is based off of JavaScript, so it's very fitting. And they have very similar tools. So why don't we just go ahead and install it? So or into this project. Go ahead and click this plus button. We're gonna type in P5, and you should see right here. So click on this. It'll open up the sidebar, or actually, yeah, this sidebar here. We're gonna use the latest version 0.9.0. Gonna click on that, and you have a couple of options here. And I'm so zoomed in. Let me just scroll down. I want to pick p5.js. This is the natural one. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and take p5.min.js. And what is the difference here? I'm going to click... what is the difference here? Well, p5.js is it's a huge JavaScript file containing all the functions and variables and classes and all that stuff you can use. What is p5.min.js? Well, it's like a pre-compiled version of the p5 file. So it has everything that's in the p5.js file, but it's like compressed, right? It's essentially compressed so that you don't have this huge file just sitting in your project folder. So I'm going to use the minified, it's called minified, right? It's the minified version, and it'll have all the same tools. The only thing is, if I try to look into it, right, if I say try to open it, you'd see a jumbled mess of, random compiled, compressed stuff. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to delete this. Get rid of this, and we're going to use p5.js. So let's go back to our slides. So how do we actually use it? And I have this little slide with a bunch of text on it, and all it does is it creates a canvas, right? A canvas is what you can draw on. It's what you can draw your shapes and stuff on. It's where you can add colors. And this canvas, right, has a size, a pixel width and a pixel height of 300 by 300. And then we have a background, right? So, I have all these comments here, but basically they're saying, setup. What is this function setup? Well, if you create this function, JavaScript or P5 will automatically run setup first, right? It'll run setup once. It sets everything up, right? You should put all your setting up stuff in the setup function. And then draw. What does draw do? Well, it runs basically every millisecond. It runs as fast as possible. So it draws a new frame as just over and over again. And what you can do with that is now you can draw moving shapes, right? If you have your shape moved to the left, it'll draw the shape, a little bit, towards the left at every, every frame. The shape will move a little bit to the left, and you'll see it essentially animate itself. So we'll get into that. And why don't we actually do that in the next slide? So how do we actually do that? Well, we can draw rectangles. How do we do that? If you type in rect, you know what? Let's just hop into the code and let me just go ahead and do it real quick. So what are the two things we need? We need a the setup function. It has to be called setup. It has to have no arguments, right? And then we need a function called draw, right? So these are our two functions, and you'll see if you can just go ahead. Let's log this and see how it runs. If we do that, and then we type in console.log. Oh, I spelled console wrong. Console.log draw. You'll notice draw is run every millisecond, right? And you'll see that setup is the first thing that's run, right? So it runs setup and then it runs draw over and over again, right? So you can essentially do animations. So how do we actually do that? Well, let's create our canvas first, right? So create canvas. You can make it how big, however small you want. You can actually make it a variable, and this will let you manipulate the canvas to some sense. I won't go over that in too much detail because it's not necessary for this video. So let's go ahead and just create our canvas. I'm gonna make it 300 pixels by 300 pixels, like in the example, but you can make it however big you want. So now you'll see I have a scroll bar here, but you don't actually see much. You don't see anything actually, and it's because we didn't have a background color yet, so it's transparent. So we have a background now, and what do we put inside of this background function? And again, P5 has all of these functions included. And you might ask, why don't you have to type in P5 dot create canvas? And that's because P5 is a special library that lets you use its tools without having to type in P5 dot, right? Without having to create an object for it. These things are just built in, setup, create canvas, background, okay? So yeah, back to the question of how do you actually put something in, what do you actually put inside of background? And what you actually put in is an RGB value, right? Three different things, three different numbers, and it's how red you want the color to be, how green you want the color to be, and how blue you want the color to be, right? RGB. And what is the minimum value and maximum value? Well, 0 is the smallest, and 255 is the biggest. So I could do 0, 0, 0. That's black, right? No red, no green, no blue. That's black. We can make it white by doing 255, 255, 255. Oh, I didn't. It's a little bit pink because I didn't add all that. Okay, there you go. Now it's pure white. That's kind of bright. That's super shiny. You can just get rid of all the blue. You'll get yellow. I want to make it, like a nice, nice. A nice purple. That's not a nice purple. Let's make it brighter. That's too. Oh, I'm gonna sit here making colors. Oh man. Okay, I'm not gonna bother. Alright, that's whatever. We'll make it that color. You can make it whatever color you want. And you can Google RGB values for whatever color you want. Cyan, turquoise, violet, magenta, whatever you want. You can Google it. You'll find the RGB values for it. Okay, so now let's actually draw the rectangles. Now, if you type in rect, right, for rectangle, what are the numbers that you put in here, right? So, the numbers are x, y, width, and height for your rectangle, right? So how far to the right you want it to be. Y is not actually how far up, but how far down you want it to be. Width is, the width of the rectangle, and height is the height of the rectangle. So let's try 10, 50, and then 200, 100. Okay, so what does this mean? It means it's 10 pixels to the right, 50 pixels down, which means the origin, right, 0, 0, if you did it at 0, 0, that's this left corner over here, right, top left corner. Then you have how wide the rectangle is and how tall the rectangle is, or high, how tall it is, right? So if we make it 0, 0, it'll be at the corner, right? So now, 0, 0 is over here. This value over here is gotta be 300 then. At the bottom right, it's gotta be 300. And now we have this rectangle, right? And so I guess I'm gonna use this rectangle. There's also a circle, right? So circle, I'm gonna do it at 100, 100, and then 50, 50, right? So again, x, y with height, right? X, y with height. So 100 down, 100 to the right, and you'll notice it draws it at the top left of the shape, right? So it's based over here, right? This is around the top left of where the circle actually is, and then it draws a circle of size 50 and 50, right? So it's a circle. It's technically an ellipse, right? You could do 100. Oh, actually, wait, hold on. I did that wrong. The circle, this is the radius, this is actually, I think, the diameter of the circle. So this is the diameter of a circle. If you want an ellipse, you type an ellipse. and then you do how tall, how wide you want it to be, right? So you can make it a little, oblong or whatever. I don't actually know. I think it's oblong. Okay, now how do you actually color your shapes, right? What if you want your shape to have a color? Well, then you type in fill, and when you type in fill, you do a color. I'm gonna make it that color. All right, so that's a nice color. All right, if you make it, if you type in fill, and give it a color, every shape after this line will be that color. So if I want the ellipse to be slightly different, I would type in a new color. And so I'm just coming up with random colors here. And so you notice the rectangle will be this color of 255, 100, 200, and then the ellipse will be this color of 100, 255, and 200. So that's how you color your shapes. Now, here's the cool part. Let's actually, I'm not sure. What's next? What else can we do? Oh yeah, we can animate. So I will show you guys how to essentially animate your thing, and then we'll just make a game. I don't think I need the slides anymore. So I'm gonna use circle. I'm actually making an ellipse. I want to make it so it'll be at x, y, 50, 50. Now what is x and y? Well, I don't have any semicolons, Luke. Wow. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna actually come up with the x and y here. Let x, y, and it still doesn't have an x and y because I didn't give them a value yet. Or actually, I'm gonna take these, put them up top, and now I can give them an x and y right here. So x equals 100, y equals 200. Oh man. Oh wait. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Something's gonna pop up at any moment now. Okay, we're good. Okay, so I created two variables, x and y here, to store the x and y of this our circle, right? I'm gonna do the classic example of making a Flappy Bird game. So at the beginning, we want to actually give x and y values, right? Now you could type in let x equal 100 here, and y equals y equals 200 here. And that totally works as well. But because I know for sure that setup will be the first thing that runs, I'm gonna actually just assign values inside of setup. And you'll also notice you can make multiple variables by typing in the comma, right? And if they're all empty, then yeah, you don't have to deal with it. So you could try 50 equals 100, and this is because JavaScript is so flexible. It doesn't matter, like punctuation is so flimsy and wonky. So you can just kind of do comma, let x comma y, and it'll create two empty variables. Okay, so now we have this. Now how do you actually, change those? Well, what if you just increased x by 1 over here and y by 1 over here? Let it run, and bam, it goes to the right. And you'll notice it just keeps on going forever. So what if I want it to go back to the beginning, right? What if I want it to jump back over here? Well, I can type in if x is greater than, say, the width of the screen, 300, I'm going to have x go back to 0. I'm going to have it start over. And so it pops over to 100, and you'll notice, hey, it's still not there, and that's because y is still like all the way down there, so you can't see it. So x equals 0, y equals 0. It'll start back at the corner any second now. Bam, it starts back at the corner and then starts animating itself. Now, this is super cool, but we're still missing one really important thing. How do we actually move it, like using user input, right? So how do I actually have this move how I want it to? I don't want it to just kind of move around randomly, or just in one direction. I want to be able to move it around. So let's do that. Now, how do you do that? Well, in the same way that you created, functions, setup, and draw, and those were built into p5. Another one is key pressed. So function key pressed. Now, when you type in key pressed, you have a global variable, right? Or actually, yeah, you have a local variable called key, right? So if key equals, say, w, I'm gonna have y decreased by 10. So let's try this. Now type in w, and you notice your circle moves up, and that's because again, key is something that's stored that p5 gives you. So p5, whenever you press a key, it'll run your own key pressed function using and it'll give you a variable called key that stores the key of the key that was pressed, right? So essentially, you can use this to get key inputs, right? and I decreased y because, you know, as y goes up, you know, the object goes, your shape goes down. It draws it more downwards. So if I want the shape to go up, I have to decrease y. So again, all right, now, well, let's check other things. Key equals, you know, a will have x, you know, decreased by 10. You'll notice you can move it to the left and down, up now. Oh man, I'm getting all confused. And then s, you know, okay, yeah, again, key stores a character, and that character is whatever key you pressed, right? There's another way to get the arrow keys and like spacebar, or actually spacebar you could just type in an empty space like that. Space, we're actually going to use that later. And you can use enter and stuff, but I'm not going to go into those for now. So s equal, x, y plus equals 10. And then you can figure out what the last one look like. I'm just going to copy and paste this. You know, I'm going to have this be d, and then x. Okay. Whew. All right, so now we have key inputs. And you notice if you click over here, you can move your guy around. Now, if you hold down, it won't actually like hold down, and that's because key pressed doesn't run while your key is held down. It runs only when you press it. But that's okay. We're gonna, excuse me. If you look into the P5 library a little bit more, you can you know, figure out what to do. Okay. Now before I move on and actually hop into making our little game, I'm gonna show you guys something really important, and that's the P5 doc. So I'm gonna type in P5 documentation. Just Google it. We're gonna type in, you can use Bing or whatever. And then I'm going to go to the reference. So what is the reference? Well, this stores everything that P5 has, right? So if you look hard enough, you can find setup and draw, right? You can find key pressed somewhere around here, key pressed right here. So let's say you want to implement something, right? And you want to implement some like a game where something follows your mouse, right? You can look at the documentation. You can Google questions, and someone might have answered it on some forum online, and you could essentially look up whatever you want to do. What if you want to check if the mouse is being dragged or moved, right? Or if it was pressed or released, right? Or what if you just want the coordinates of the mouse, right? What if you want the pixels of the screen, like what each pixel is colored in, right? What if you want to scale an image, right? Or like, yeah, how would you implement images? Well, you could look for the images part, and let me go ahead and find it. Yeah, you can create an image, right? You can load an image from your computer, right? You can do all this stuff, and you can essentially look up how to do it, right? So this is the essence of computer science. It's not, you know, it's not only the logic, right? There's some logic involved. It's not only the logic and, you know, the whole, you know, putting together, you know, all your algorithms and your variables and all that. It's about being able to learn quickly and on your own, right? So figure out what you want to implement, and then figure out how to implement it. That's the essence of computer science. And so, you know, P5, this is a great example because it's very visual. You gotta put in images, you gotta put in rectangles and all this stuff. So let's just get back to coding. I think I've done enough preaching. Yeah, let's do this. So I actually don't want to check all these things. I'm only going to check one thing. I'm going to leave it at spacebar, okay? So if you press the spacebar, it moves up. Okay. So how do we actually implement Flappy Bird? Well, we need a couple of things, and this is going to get nasty, or not, it's going to get wild, so be ready for this. I'm going to actually create a couple of classes. So first I'm going to create a bird class, right? I'm going to call this bird.js. And then, oh no, that's called bird.js. I'm going to delete bird.js. I'm just going to type this bird. I'm going to type in bird and then pipe, right? So we have bird, we have a bird and a pipe. So I'm going to create a class right now. I'm going to call it the bird class. I'm going to create a bunch of birds. You know, in the constructor, I'm going to give it a couple of values. Let's have it start at, you know, this dot x equals 50, this dot y equals 50. And we're also gonna, you know, have it, you know, update every millisecond. We're also gonna draw it every millisecond. So what's the point of this? I'm creating a class, right? Again, it's an object, right? Something that I can like a thing with properties and functions. And the update function is what I want to control the physics, right? I want it to control the movement. Where is this gonna move? How is this gonna move? And then draw will control where how it's drawn to the screen, right? So I'm also gonna give it, you know, a width of, you know, I think 10. Yeah, we'll try width. This dot height equals 10, and then I'm gonna give it some value. So this is basic physics. All right, I'm just gonna give a dx and a dy. So what are dx and dy? Dx is it's velocity, right? It's velocity, right? So I'm gonna call it vx and vy. It's velocity in the x direction, which is basically how fast it's moving in the x direction, and then velocity y, so how fast it's moving in the y direction. Okay. So what else do we need? Well, we have this bird class. Why don't we go ahead and implement it, right? So I'm gonna say let bird, right? And in the setup function, I'm gonna get rid of the x and y thing. We don't need that anymore. I'm gonna go and say bird equals new bird. Okay, so we created a new bird, right? And now I'm gonna keep the background because I kind of like that color. I'm gonna say bird.update and then bird.draw. So I'm updating the bird and I'm drawing the bird. But you'll notice, where's the bird? I haven't drawn it yet. So what I want it to do, I want it to sort of just create an ellipse, right? Ellipse at this dot x, this dot y, this dot width, and this dot height. Now, if you don't know what's going on with this whole object thing, you can go ahead and watch the last video. Oh, I haven't created that yet. But once I edit and create that video of objects and classes, you can take a review. Like when I say this dot, I'm actually talking about this I guess it's called an instance, right? This object called bird that I created, right? So bird, I can draw it to the screen, and when I say draw, it's talking about this bird, this bird right here. So I've called this Jim, right? It would update Jim, okay? So when I say this dot, right? So we have our bird, right? Now we have to add some physics for it, right? I'm gonna increase its x by its velocity, right? Every millisecond. I'm also gonna increase its y by its velocity in the y direction every millisecond. If you guys feel cool for learning some basic vector physics, wow! All right, so this isn't even vector physics. This is just physics. Okay. I'm also gonna increase its y. Wait, hold on. I have to add gravity, so I'm gonna give it a gravity. Now I'm gonna give it like a very weak gravity. This dot y vy. I'm gonna increase its velocity, right? So what is I'm accelerating it, right? Gravity is an acceleration. You can think of it as an acceleration. 9.8 meters per second squared or whatever. What is velocity? It's how fast the velocity changes. So the velocity is how fast the position changes. The acceleration is how fast the velocity changes. So I'm changing it by 0.01 every millisecond. So now you'll see it goes down, slowly down, faster, faster, faster. All right, so I'm gonna make it 0.1, a little bit faster. Okay, I like that. Okay, so I also need it to not be able to fall down to the edge of the earth. So yeah, I'll worry about that later. Okay, all right. So and we're also gonna create a jump function. All right, actually I'm gonna put it up top. All right, so we're gonna also create a jump function so that we can have our bird jump. So. And then we can this dot vy minus equal, again, because we want it to go up, we're gonna decrease the velocity for it to go up. We're gonna decrease it by 5, and then how do we actually call in this jump function? Well, instead of saying y minus equals 10, I'm gonna say bird dot jump. If I'm not moving fast, go and pause the video. You can give it some thought. You can ask some questions in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them. I'm gonna just refresh this real quick, and if you press spacebar, you'll notice now your bird jumps. This is pretty crazy, right? And why this works? Again, basic physics. Its velocity is going down. If you decrease the velocity, as in in real life, if you want it to go, you would increase the velocity for it to jump. But if you decrease the velocity in this case, it would go up instead, right? Okay. So I'm gonna stop playing around with that. I'm gonna pause that, and we're gonna move on. So we have the bird functioning, right? Now we're gonna add a pipe. We're gonna add some pipes, right? So how do we do that? Well, I want to include it in an array, right? So I'm gonna have it, pipes. I'm gonna create a new variable called pipes. I'm gonna make it an empty array later, so I can push some objects into it, right? So I want to push objects in maybe every 50 milliseconds, right? Or 500 milliseconds. So how would I do that? well, first of all, I gotta create this pipes class, right? So I'm gonna create pipes. I'm gonna give each pipe constructor an x and y value. Again, this dot x equals, I'm gonna make it 300. This dot y equals 0. I'm gonna have it start at the top, right? And I'm gonna draw a rectangle all the way down to the bottom, right? So this dot width is gonna be, let's say, 20, and then this dot height is gonna be 300 as well. So I'm gonna call it W and H. I don't know why it's making X and Y purple. It's weird. Okay, I'm gonna ignore that. So update, I want to move it to the left. I want to move them to the left every second. They start on the right side of the screen. So this dot X minus equals 1. Okay, 0.1. Okay, let's try that. Again, you can play around with these values. You don't have to do the values I'm using. It's totally up to you. That's where you can customize it yourself. And then this, I'm going to draw a rectangle, right, at this dot X, this dot Y, this dot width, and this dot height. Okay. Oof. All right. So now I have to draw these bad boys and update them as well. So I'm gonna say, if I'm gonna create a counter. All right. So, okay. Let I equal 0. Okay. All right. Let I, and then, I equals 0. So this is gonna count how many frames pass by. So, just increase it by 1 after every frame. So yeah, draws a new frame every millisecond. I'm also gonna increase the counter by 1 every millisecond. And so if, I is, if the, I modulus 50, which means it'll run every 50 milliseconds, right? Oh, wait, sorry. Modulus 50 equals 0. Like, essentially, what is modulus? It's called modulus. It's the remainder, operator. So, what's 3 modulus 1? It's 2 because 3 divided by 1 is, 1 remainder 2. So the 2, it's 2 because 2 is the remainder. So again, modulus is the remainder function, gets the remainder. If I wanted to do it every other, right, every even number, I would do modulus 2 equals 0 because any even number divided by 2 is 0, or like the remainder is 0, right? And then I want it to run every 50. So every 50 frames, I want it to create a new pipe. So I'm going to say pipe, let pipe equal new pipe, and then I'm going to just go ahead and toss pipe inside of the pipes, right? So pipes dot push pipe. Now, you still don't see the pipes, and why? It's because I haven't looped through the pipes and updated them. So for pipe in pipes, pipe dot update, and then pipe dot draw. Okay. Woo! What's going on? Oh, I forgot to press play. Okay. Alright, let's stay. Oh, I did not. Oh, what happened? Pipe is not defined. Oh, yes, I'm a genius. Alright, let's do that. Okay, pipe.update is not a function. What? Right here. Update. Debugging, yay, let's do some debugging. Ah, yes, classic mistake for of, not in. Okay. Oh, there they come. Oh boy. So I'm obviously going to make them faster and wider, I guess. And I have to create an opening now. Alright, let's do that. Alright, let's pause this. Okay, I want to make them faster. Let's make it go by 2. Maybe they'll be 50 wide. Let's try that real quick. Whoa, okay. Too fast, too wide. Alright. Oh no, they're not stopping. Oh no. Alright, let's make them 30. Let's try again. We'll do 25 and we'll make them every 100 frames. We'll make them appear every 100 frames. Okay, let's try this one more time. I realize that pressing pause doesn't actually stop P5. That's okay. So, this is fine. Okay, so. Alright. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm going to create a new variable. I'm going to call it this dot offset y. And this is how far down its opening will be. So I'm going to, what am I going to make it? I'm going to give it a random value, right? Math.random gives you a random value between 0 and 1. So what if I want it to be between, like, let's say 100 pixels and 200 pixels, right? So I would multiply this by 100, right? So now it's a random number between 0 and 100, right? A random number between 0 and 1 times 100 is a random number between 0 and 100. And so it's a random number between 0 and 100. What if I want to start at between 100 and 200? Well, I just add 100 to it, okay? So now I have, offset y, and I also want it to have an opening, all right? So this dot, offset h, right? Or, yeah. Or I'm going to call it whole y, and then whole y, and the whole h, right? The height of the hole and the y of the hole. So I'm going to give it math.random, a random number between, 50 and 100. That's, a random between 0 and 50 plus 50, right? So this is some, a basic math, I guess. Now, how do we actually draw this? Well, instead of drawing one continuous rectangle, let's draw it down to the y value, this dot whole y, and let's draw another one, right? This dot x, this dot y. Oh wait, it's not going to start out with the y value. I want it to start at its whole y plus the whole height. So I have two whole y's here. So let me just type this out. Whole height. It'll have a width, and I can just make it as tall as it is. Okay, it can extend over the edge of the screen a little bit. Oh, there you go. Okay, let's see if this worked. I fell all the way down. Get me back up. Oh no, I fell too far down. Alright, let's try it again. Why am I not jumping? Why am I not jumping? Oh, okay. Alright, fixed it. Alright. Just took a little bit of focusing. Okay, so you'll notice, again. Okay. Alright, now we haven't implemented collisions yet. That's okay. Okay, basically, alright, so... Okay, I'm not going to be able to pause it, so I'm going to try and explain it actively. Alright, so when I said this dot whole y, right, and I created it, right, again, math.random is a random number between 0 and 1, right? Multiply that by 100, you get a random number between 0 and 100. You add 100 to that, and then, 0 plus 100 is 100. 100 plus 100 is 200, so now it's a random number between 100 and 200, right? So I do the same logic here. I get a random number between 50 and 100. And then over here, I draw a rectangle at its x value, right? At an x value, and then at its y value of 0, and then it has the same width, but then it goes down to the height of this, between 100 and 200, right? And then after that, I draw a new rectangle with the space, right? With the top of it. The top of this rectangle is now the hole, right? The y of the hole plus the height of the hole. So this is the height of the hole, and then the y of the hole. The height of the hole, and then the y of the hole, right? And that means it draws it down here, and then it just extends all the way down, to 300, a height of 300, which guarantees that it'll, be reach all the way down. So, okay, if that doesn't make sense, it's okay. You can mull it over a little. Now we have to do collisions, right? How do I actually lose the game, right? If I touch something. Excuse me. Again, if this is moving fast, ask questions. Yeah. Excuse me. Ask questions, think about it a little bit more. I don't know. Okay, so. Excuse me. Oh, man. Now I have to check if the bird is touching one of the pipes. Well, there's a couple of ways I can do this. I can create a new function called check collision. I give it some pipes. And then I say for int let I equals 0, I is less than pipes dot length, I plus plus. I go through all the pipes and say if this dot, how do I, okay, oh man, alright, well, okay, that's a lot of math. Alright, I'm gonna do it anyways. Okay, let's do some math. Okay, so I'm gonna just toss it in here because it doesn't matter. Alright, so I'm gonna create two two functions real quick. In box, right? It checks if a point is inside of a box. x1, y1, x2, y2 with 2, height 2. Okay, so you have a box x2, y2 with 2, height 2, and then you have, a point, or a point x1, y1. Actually, I guess I'm going to call it in rect, all right? So, and then let's check if, the point, right, the x has to be between, x has to be less than, okay, x has to be greater than greater than or equal to x2, right? It has to be, at least to the right of the left side of the rectangle. It also has to be to the left of the right side of the rectangle, which is x2 plus its width, w2. Y also has to be greater than y2. y1 has to be greater than y2. I should have typed x1 and x2, x1, and also y has to be y1. Oh man, y1 has to be less than y2 plus height 2. Okay, so again, it has to be essentially inside of the bounds of the rectangle. All right, so return true if it's inside of the rectangle. Otherwise, otherwise it'll just return false anyways. All right, so if it returns true, it goes out of the function. So it doesn't worry about this line at all. But if it makes it to this line, then it returns false. Okay, so and then I'm gonna create another one, function. Function intersect box x1, y1, x2. Okay, x1, y1 with 1, height 1, and x2, y2 with 2, height 2. This is why I like making games. All right, okay. We're going to be doing an app next week or something. All right, this is why I don't like making games. It's just a bunch of annoying collision physics. Okay, all right, whatever. So, okay, first we have to check if... Oh, man. First we check if x1, y1... Okay, we have to check 4 things. If any of the 4 points... Alright, so there are 4 points to a rectangle, right? The top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. If any of those points are inside of another rectangle, that means those rectangles are intersecting. You can check that for yourself. I'm going to do that now. Okay, so we have to do all 4 corners. Alright, so x1, y1, x2, y2 with 2, height 2. Oh boy, okay. Alright, so we're going to do that 4 times. If any of those corners are inside of another rectangle, then we return true. That means they're intersecting. Alright, and this only works with rectangles, so don't try it with other convex polygons. Other, also known as other shapes. Okay, almost done. We're almost done. Oh boy. Okay. All right. So the other point is x2 plus with 2 or with 1. Then y1 plus height 1. If you're so bored at this point, go ahead and make your own game. Just don't bother. But if you're still stuck by it, we're almost done. Height 1. Okay. All right. Now, if any of that happens, all right. So if intersect, what is it? What did I call it? Intersect box. I could name it better. This dot x, this dot y, this dot width, this dot height. But for the rectangle, I don't know why I did this, but for the pipes I of x, pipes I of y, pipes I of w, and then pipes I of height. Oh, I had to... Almost done. Oh no. Oh no, I have 2 different boxes to check. My brother's trying to bother me. Okay, it's not width and height. It's actually you know, the offset. So offset Y. If this doesn't make any sense, it's okay. It's okay. Return true. Oh boy. Oh boy. You know, if it touches that one, or if it touches the bottom rectangle. So this checks if the bird is touching this top part of the pipe here, and then it also checks if it touches the bottom part of the pipe here. I have to do that of offset Y plus offset height. So yeah, I'm checking if it touches the bottom one plus height. Okay. Oof. Then return true as well. And also, oh no, too many parentheses. Also, if x is greater than 300, or x is less than 0, or actually you only have to check the y. If y is greater than 300, or y is less than 0, return true. And otherwise, if none of that happens, return false. So now all we have to say is in the script we say if. Oh no. Alright, if I'm moving fast, it's okay, you can pause or whatever. If bird.check collision, and then you give it pipes, then you can freeze the game and essentially make it be game over. Just console.log game over. Okay, and you can figure out how you can make it like a game over screen. Figure out how to do that. This is just a really bad tutorial. All right. Oh man, this .y. All right. Oh, and I crashed. Okay. So yeah, I was supposed to type in this .y. Okay, that didn't work out. I didn't save any of that, so that was my last chance to. But this is hilarious. Okay, what a great finish. So that's basically how you make a game in JavaScript. You use a web frame. It's called a framework, right? It's this library called p5, which lets you draw images. It lets you draw shapes. You can do some physics. It gets really tedious, so I suggest you don't make games. But if you really like making games, you can do that. And then that's basically it. So I know that was a mess, but thank you guys for watching. It was an amazing finish, with that crash. Yeah, thanks, and I'll see you guys later.